Let's get started. There's obviously a lot going on. Like I said, Emerson Surge is here. Trump's overall approval rating now stands at just 34. You know what? We'll get started with this very funny moment. Okay, very funny moment.
Approval rating now stands at just 34%, and that matches his career low following the January 6th insurrection.
That's awesome. AOC was on Majority Report. Nice. Nice. Your interview with Mehdi Hassan also dropped. Yeah, my interview with Donny O'Sullivan, pieces of it are also out. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. He's just teasing us at this point. Little tickles, little teases. Look at that. It's coming out on Sunday, baby.
Guys have failed so publicly and so spectacularly that it has caused people to seek out alternatives.
I see challenges from the quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them. They don't win elections. They never run against Republicans. They just run against other Democrats.
It's so funny. This is literally the same meta always. Okay? You wearing the same jacket? I am. There's nothing different about what James Carville is saying than what Neera Tanden is saying, than what the dumbest like liberal on Twitter is saying. They all repeat the same talking points over and over again. It's so funny. And it's just such a dumb thing to say. Carville's married to a Nazi, by the way. Carville is a Nazi himself. Hold on one second. No tank top. Damn, man. Let down. Dog, I'm not going to interview Norman Finkelstein for his new book coming out. And I'm not gonna like this is an interview that is like a decade in the making. This is an interview that's especially 3 years in the making. I flew him out here for it. You think I'm gonna wear a fucking tank top for probably one of the most important interviews of my career, from my perspective at least? What are you, nuts? Sex sells. Y'all are. Sometimes I forget that this community is comprised of older folk, but still gooners nonetheless. Okay? You think I am going to show up like it's casual Friday? You think I'm going to show up in a tank top where Norm Finkelstein is going to say, "You are a gooner," to me, to my face? Stop being silly, please. Okay? Yes, I have to wear my Sunday best, dude. I'm in the presence of a goat. Both greatest of all time, but also a stubborn goat of a man as well. Something that is an admirable quality for someone like Norman. Anyway, you built this community brick by brick. I know.
And their only message is, we're going to blow everything up.
James Carville says this is all going to implode at the general election.
Yeah, as opposed to previous neoliberal Democratic candidacies that have been spectacular successes so far. Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2016 and Kamala Harris in 2024. There are a lot of people who are just like, this is not working. Cost of living crisis is completely out of control. Democrats haven't done anything about it. Republicans haven't done anything about it. There has to be a different alternative.
I have one simple philosophy about politics. Winning is everything, stupid.
Okay. Then win the primary. Like, does he not realize that the primary is also an electoral competition? I just do not understand what the argument is here.
Let's think of somebody. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ran for president twice.
Yeah, he lost. He lost. Great point, right? Great point. So why are you complaining about your guys losing the primaries? You literally saw a couple insurgent candidates. You saw a couple insurgent candidates, DSA candidates, win their primaries against long-term incumbents. And you immediately said, we got to do a schism. We got to do a schism. Get it out of here. That's not my party. It's so funny. It's so funny. He's like, but also Bernie lost. Okay, well, now you're losing. You know what I mean? Old people in this country want to burn it before they die. No, every day. Look. We're going to be talking to one of the best and brightest in the boomer class today. So I can't be doing too much generational resentment. But every day that goes on, and I know this is reactionary, the only politics that matters, the only struggle that matters is class struggle. There is no such thing as generational politics. However, every damn day that goes on, every time I hear from the old guard, like a James Carville type, or just the average boomer that's being interviewed as a median voter on television, I'm like, oh my God, these people, they want to literally destroy the planet before they go out. That's all they care about. It literally feels like boomers live for one thing and one thing only, which is to ensure that the generation that comes after them eats shit and lives in a worse predicament overall. It literally, I feel like boomers love two things: voting, well, three things: voting, fucking, okay, and making sure that ladder is pulled up. Boomer resentment and boomer entitlement. Oh my God. Wait, Mandela Barnes suspended his campaign for governor? Shut the fuck up. Last-ditch effort for the establishment. They're going to consolidate behind Crowley? That's unbelievable. Are you joking or are you being for real? No, that's crazy. He fell on the sword. Norman Finkelstein belittled Rabbi Shmuley on Piers Morgan in 2024. He's suffering from some form of Judeo-dementia. Norman is scheduled to appear on a sound stream today. It's going to be amazing. I've been trying to tell you this. No. I mean, I don't think it's going to work, but it's crazy that Mandela Barnes dropped out. He was the only one with viability. That's insane. Mandela Barnes considering dropping out of the Wisconsin governor race? You know what's really funny about this? I mean this seriously. I hope he does this, but I don't think people realize this will, this is yet should I even say it? I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of ops watching me as of late, and I feel like they've started to take me a little bit more seriously. Dude, there's something so funny about this. Oh my God. Chat. You know how the last poll showed Francesca Hong at 44 and Mandela Barnes was in second place at 16%? Mandela Barnes voters are probably going to coalesce around Hong. She's going to win by 60%. Oh my God. She was slated to hit 50 plus in the crowded primary. I think she's going to hit 60%. Oh my God. Look, there was a likelihood that she was going to get the majority vote even with the field as it stands currently. I think now there is a likelihood that she's going to put up 60% in the primary. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you think she has a chance of winning? Do I think Francesca Hong has a chance of winning? I think Francesca Hong has a chance of putting up Assad numbers in the primary and then comfortably coasting to a victory in Wisconsin, dramatically changing the history of the state with a trifecta that they will never lose for the next couple decades. That's what I think about the Hong momentum. These people have no capacity to believe. These people are doubters. These people are doubters. They're haters. They're terrified, not of our failure, but they're terrified of our success. Francesca Hong has had the mandate of heaven. It will be, Wisconsin will forever be known as the Hong dynasty. That's what I think. That's what I think. But fear not. Instead of punishing the non-believers, we will welcome them into our fold, okay? Oh my God. Oh my God. Hong momentum. That is incredible.
Last night I had a very difficult conversation.
Come on, man. This is your fucking... Mandela, you're doing your goodbye speech. You got to fix the audio, my man. That is crazy. Right off the rip. Right off the rip. I need you guys to understand something here, okay? I need you to understand something. This man, I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did. I have no idea what he did to just piss off the centrist Democrats, okay? Not to give them any ideas at this point. I feel like it's far too late. But if they were smart, they would have backed him. I don't know if he has some skeletons in his closet. I don't know if they just fucking hate his ass. I don't know if there's like some kind of like sexual assault allegation or something that's been brewing in the background that like all of the establishment Democrats knew about, which is why they considered it completely inappropriate to back him, because he was cooking. Like, he was the only one that had a shot against Francesca Hong. He also came super close. Lol, careful with that, damn. No, I'm not. There have been allegations brewing in the background of like misconduct, but it doesn't make any sense. The reason why I'm saying this is because he actually, if the Democratic Party's forces coalesce behind Mandela Barnes, he could have actually been a reasonable opposition for Francesca Hong. He actually could have. And yet the party did not back him at all. And I found that very strange, because I found that strange for two reasons. One, because he's like, you know, fake enough. He's phony enough, right? You're a little wild for putting that out there. Okay, when it actually comes out, you'll understand, because it doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Mandela's background. But I need you to understand something. There is 0% chance that the Dem establishment would not have backed him like this. There has to be something devastating. I've been hearing this too. The conversation come as some Democratic officials in the state brace for damaging media reports about Barnes, which are expected to hit in the coming hours. The insinuation is being made in the Politico article as well. There was obviously something brewing in the background. I had seen an article. What was it called? Like sexual relationality or something? Is that what it was? There was like a Milwaukee Badger article or something. I forget. I read it. I read the fucking cliff notes of it basically, and I think there was always like something going on in the background. Like it was always like brewing in the there was always something brewing in the background about like, you know, potentially some allegations against them. But I don't know what it was. Oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is not, sorry, it's not the Milwaukee Badger, it's the Milwaukee Beagle. Mandela Barnes and relational exploitation. Milwaukee Beagle recently acquired a letter that appears to have been written to then Democratic Party Wisconsin Chair Ben Winkler in 2023, which was sent again to David Remacher, Winkler's replacement as chair, as well as 3 other candidates for governor, Sarah Rodriguez, David Crowley, and Kel DeRoy. Find a transcription of the letters as we received this slightly blurry photo, so apologies if everything is mistranscribed below. Our source says this letter has been circulating widely in Democratic Party circles. Now, this is old. This is an old story. This and the reason why I didn't touch on this at the time, now that he's actually dropping out, I'm bringing it up. I didn't want to touch on this because there wasn't enough evidence. Okay, there was just simply allegations brewing in the background. Okay. But something didn't make sense because Mandela Barnes had the pedigree. He was definitely, I guess, quote unquote, pragmatic enough to present himself at times, first as a progressive, then as a reasonable moderate. And yet the Democratic Party never backed him. The DSCC very famously did not support him at all. And he came within 1 point in a race. The DSCC, at the time we thought in 2022, when he was running for that Senate race, we thought, wow, what a missed opportunity. Here you have a relatively progressive guy, and the Democratic Party totally dropped him for no reason and basically hung him out to dry. Like they said, no, we're too busy. We're too busy focusing on all these other like unwinnable races in the fucking South. We had to dump millions of dollars, and it was a huge deal. Yeah. The SEC chose to give Val Demings $44 million to lose by 20 points to Marco Rubio instead. And like a couple million would have gone a long way in his race because he came within the margin of victory, right? So this was in 2022. And he also, at times, had a progressive streak. Once again, he was a shaky progressive, though. He was a Mallory McMorrow style progressive, the Goldilocks progressive, right? Which, ironically enough, as we found out in these, past couple of primaries, puts you not in the best zone, but in the worst zone. If you're too progressive, or you're seen as too radical for the moderates and the establishment, and you're seen as too phony for the actual progressives, especially if there's a real progressive in the race, a real leftist in the race, a democratic socialist in the race, right? So for that reason, I always found it very strange. Yeah, he lost. Look at this. Look at this margin of defeat against Ron Johnson. He came so unbelievably close. And I remember at the time we covered it. I remember at the time progressives thought this was a massive winnable race that the Democratic Party had fucked up. Okay? So then I forgot all about Mandela Barnes. But Mandela Barnes still had ambitions, right? I believe he was the lieutenant governor, right? If I'm not mistaken. I don't want to get it wrong. But, he stayed within the Wisconsin Democratic Party political circles, regardless of his defeat. He was the lieutenant governor for Tony Evers. So he had I don't know what's going on with my voice. So he had the experience. But he did not have the backing. Okay? And it was kind of shocking, as Leftwig also points out. Why didn't he get the same progressive endorsements Bernie et al. He did in 2022 and box Hong out? Kind of baffling. Now, those guys probably haven't been paying close attention. There's a lot of people who are like on the left curious election Twitter circles that have consistently underestimated Francesca Hong. They constantly talk about how she's like engaging in pie in the sky idealism. She's one of those like crazy, too woke to play type candidates. They're wrong, and they've been wrong, and we will prove them wrong, right? Luckily for us, Twitter, and especially election Twitter, does not have any impact in real elections. And I hope that all of these fucking haters, okay, who have at the very least come to terms with very good candidates that we've been backing, we've been endorsing, and we've been working with, from Abdul al-Sayed to Zohran Mamdani to numerous others, will recognize the error of their thinking. Okay? I don't know if they will, but I hope they do. Because there are a lot of people I have seen. There are a lot of people that have underestimated Francesca Hong. They will learn that they were wrong. So, what's really interesting about Mandela Barnes is that he was the magnet for second choice. Okay? A lot of people's second choice, like Mandela Barnes had the greatest opportunity here to actually consolidate support behind him. Okay? And yet, the establishment did not back him at all. And I suspect there's something significant behind why they didn't, because he has the perfect qualities for an establishment safety pick, especially when they're worried that there is a real socialist that's running for that seat. He had the ground game in comparison to everybody else, which was nothing in comparison to Francesca Hong's ground game. He had a decent debate performance. He had the credibility with at least some of the progressives, which is part of the reason why I think him dropping out is actually going to be even better for Francesca Hong. Because I think a lot of his voters will then turn around and vote for Hong instead. But let's take a look at this video now.
Last night I had a very difficult conversation with my staff. Now we're incredibly proud of all the things that we've accomplished and all the resources that we have raised to spread our message. But it's become very clear who our nominee is going to be. Now I said from the very beginning when I launched this campaign that the number one goal was taking on and defeating Tom Tiffany to deliver big wins for Democrats up and down the ticket. And now it's our time to come together, to focus our efforts on that one goal. We have to do everything to beat Tom Tiffany. This is life or death for Wisconsinites who are losing their health care under a Trump administration. People who can't afford child care. The folks who are being squeezed by bills while the rich continue to get richer. Now I got in this race because we're living in a rigged system. The rich are getting richer while the rest of us are left scrambling for crumbs. I know this firsthand. That's why I've always fought for better. As a legislator, as an organizer, as a lieutenant governor. Now while I may be suspending this campaign, I'll never give up my fight for Wisconsin. And I'm incredibly grateful for all the folks who joined this campaign, for the people who believed in me and this movement, knew that we had a real shot at creating opportunities through bold action to improve quality of life for every single person that calls this place home. Now, we have to do everything we possibly can to defeat Tom Tiffany. And that's exactly what I'm committed to doing for the next 96 days. Last night,
Damn, Brothers Bridges dried up so fast he lost the mic as well. Yeah, so look, it's a really, really, really interesting. It's a really interesting situation. He hasn't endorsed anybody. But once again, like when people say, "Oh, he lost to Ron Johnson," like that was an incredible race. Like he had to do that pretty much on his own. Okay, he had to do that pretty much on his own. So it's actually kind of shocking. Like he would have been the sweetheart pick in this race if Francesca Hong wasn't the actual real alternative, the actual real left flank insurgency. Okay? And even then, for a lot of these like Mallory McMorrow style advocates on election Twitter who aren't like socialists themselves, maybe they're DSA curious, maybe they're somewhat DSA aligned, but they always have to make like the it's better to moderate to win elections type fucking arguments. They always underestimated Francesca Hong, and they would talk about Mandela Barnes. And I never understood why the establishment didn't seize on that opportunity. Because he was the electability crowd's number one pick. The reason why I say this is because he outperformed Francesca Hong against the Republican in the general, in the polls. They were just not capable of making it out of that primary because Francesca Hong was a goddamn behemoth, okay? Francesca Hong is a fucking monster when it comes to on-the-ground organizing, okay? That's it. She's charismatic as well. I would go so far as to say she's more affable and more personable than she is telegenic. Some people might get mad at me. These guys like Mandela, all these other people, like they've been yapping professionally to win elections for far longer than Francesca has, and you can see that. But she shines in a one-on-one situation. She's incredible and very personable. She's not very good in a televised debate situation. She could come off maybe a little bit more aggressive. It's something you can work on. She also did all of this without any major endorsements. I mean, her biggest endorsements are literally fucking me and Michael from Pennsylvania. Like, which is, by the way, a major mistake. And I hope, and I'm going to reach out to as many people as possible, that they seize on this opportunity and they pounce on this opportunity, and we bring in the Bernard Brigade, AOC, all of these people, and you know, after the primaries are over. Yeah, it was like Ro Khanna and Ilhan Omar, I think. I was joking when I say it's me and Michael from Pennsylvania, obviously, but like none of the major national figures on the progressive side, on the left side, that you see in all these other races actually endorsed her, which is interesting. But I think Francesca Hong is also a good testing ground for this theory. Like, if you're personable, if you're really good, and if you have tremendous ground game, and if you have good policies, does it really matter all that much if you're not very good on the debate stage in comparison to everyone else? Because like Abdul is a killer, right? Abdul is an assassin on that debate stage. He's a podcaster. He knows how to yap. He knows how to have those piffy sound bites. And unfortunately, in this day and age, like, that's what you need to do to, you know, really expand your reach. Francesca is very good, very personable, has incredible policies, but hasn't dialed in that like piffy soundbite, talking in like, you know, short bursts that you can boom, 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 cut and neatly package into a Fox News alert or a CNN alert, in the same way that Abdul has been able to do. In a contentious debate, she's far too kind. In a contentious media environment, she's unfortunately far too kind. And I think AOC has a similar, let's just say, weakness as well. So it's important for that reason too. I think Francesca is incredible. And you know, we've already seen instances where people like that have actually still destroyed, right? Call it an area of improvement. Yes. Terrible phrasing for the Clippers. Yeah, I think she's too kind. There's also the obvious double standard for women in this field as well. You aren't exactly concise, Lamau. I know I'm not, but I'm not running for office. I'm a Twitch streamer whose primary purpose is to fill the airwaves for 8 hours, talking about politics, being as entertaining as possible. I'm not trying to communicate an agenda in a contentious media environment for 30-second sound bites. If I were to do that, this entire broadcast would be unfucking bearable. You would literally lose your mind. Didn't Zoran have that problem too? No, Zoran actually got very, very good at debating and and doing that intellectual judo. Zoran is very good at that, actually. Flipping the script, answering in a easy to understand manner, and then immediately flipping the script and turning around and talking about the policies. Like, he was really, really good. He's generational talent when it comes to that sort of thing. So what I'm trying to say is Francesca Hong is brilliant, amazing. I'm very excited for her candidacy even after all of this. This is actually not a bad thing, but a good thing. Yeah, I would say that like the only area of improvement is that she got to be more of a shark, more of a killer. But then there's also the double standard, much like with AOC and with Summer Lee as well, especially being a black woman herself, and also Francesca Hong. These are women of color. So the way that women of color obviously are like socially conditioned to behaving in a professional setting is very different than a white man and very different than a man in general. And especially on like the debate stage, you don't get to have the same like baked in confidence, I guess. Like Graham Plattner could do whatever the fuck he wanted, and most people would still go, that's a white guy, I trust him. It just sucks, but that's just the reality. If you're a woman, you're shrill, you're hysterical, you can't get angry, you can't be emotional, you can't show your emotions like that. You're a stereotype. So the balance that you have to strike as a woman of color in these environments is far more difficult than being a white guy, for sure. So, yeah, they'll say you're bossy. They'll say you're hysterical. And if you're too meek, they'll say, oh, you're, too meek. If you're too well put together, they'll say it's fake and phony. So all of those qualities end up getting overemphasized, right? So there is that hurdle, but Francesca has very clearly been able to climb over that hurdle because, once again, she's fucking incredible. Okay? She's so personable, and the policies are good, and when she talks to people, she convinces them that she is going to fight for them. And that is clearly a lot more important than being well put together. Right? Like being well positioned as a telegenic candidate designed specifically to talk in 30-second sound bites that will come across as piffy. So yeah. How do you think Gretchen Whitmer pulled it off in Michigan? She's a white woman. Different, like still a delicate balance that you need to strike in comparison to a man on that stage. But being white definitely helps. Especially being a white woman definitely helps. Being white is pretty OP in these sorts of situations. Let's be real, it's kind of a cheat code. So she also obviously had like the corpo expenditures backing her as well. Michael from Pennsylvania, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Michael from Pennsylvania did the maiden voyage of the Francesca Hong media. Literally the first ever big media appearance was on Michael from Pennsylvania stream. It's true. Got to give him credit for that. Now, of course, we destroyed him because he could not out fundraise us, obviously. Let's, a little bit of healthy competition between two content creators, but one from Taiwan, Michael from Taiwan, one from Beijing, Hasan from Beijing. It's fine. It's not a big deal. He also literally gave her food ahead of time before she came over here so that she would be far less receptive. She would be far less receptive to my version of Korean food. It's fine. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not butthurt about it. I'm not butthurt about it at all. But wait, she told you that? Yeah, no, I don't even want to talk about it any further. Okay, so that's fine. Let's not bring up the cheese gate, okay? Hasan Pecorino. All right, here we go. The cheese fucking puns again. She was not afraid to denounce your cheesy kalbijim. Stop! That was a traumatic moment. That was a traumatic moment for everybody involved. In any case, as I was saying, this is interesting news, but also very good news. And I suspect that there is a reason for this. There has to be a reason for this. There has to be something really damaging happening behind the scenes that the establishment was aware of. I just wanted to be clear to everyone that nobody has accused Mandela Barnes of sexual misconduct. There have been anonymous allegations of misusing his position for access to consensual sexual relationships. No woman has come out and accused him of anything, and there's no Plattner-style allegations. There are campaign finance allegations, however, so let's be cautious and not lump this in with Plattner until more information is out. Yeah. No, for sure. The reason why I'm saying this, though, is because, like, even if he was in consensual relationships, like, that's not, there's no fucking way that the establishment Democrat lost a gem of a candidate that could have actually made this race far more difficult for the actual true insurgent candidate. There's no shot. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think the establishment Democrats are that fucking stupid. He either, like, rat fucked a race or did something behind the scenes that, like, the establishment fucking despised so much that they just refused to back him against the close race that he had in 2022 and refused to back him as the actual alternative when he was the lieutenant governor. That's still a huge predatory power dynamic issue. Dog, this is the party of Bill Clinton. What are you saying? I'm not talking about morals. I'm looking at this as, like, pure, cold, calculated, like, snake-style politicking. Hello? You think establishment Democrats are going to shy away from a candidate if the only thing he did was, like, abuse his position of power in a consensual relationship? What are you, fucking nuts? That's like saying Republicans won't back a pedophile. Are you kidding me? It's more likely that they will back a pedophile. Republicans would be like, oh, you got pedophilia allegations? Sign right up, sir. We love to have you. Oh, did you break the collarbone of your 2-year-old daughter and put a gun to the head of your ex-wife? Max Miller, we would love to have you run. Oh my God, your ex-wife is actually the daughter of the current senator, the current Republican senator of Ohio, Bernie Moreno? Shut the fuck up, Bernie Moreno. Don't say anything about it. We'll talk about Max Miller in a second. But do you understand what I'm saying? Democratic Party and Republican Party consultants do not give a shit. It really is lower than dirt that Bernie Moreno will not stand apart from the man who broke his granddaughter's collarbone. I know we're going to get into that. It's fucking insane. But do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, there has to be something that Mandela Barnes did. I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just saying that, like, he either, like, destroyed the chances of someone's nephew running for a position or something. Like, there has to be something that he did behind the scenes that caused the establishment Democrats to go, nope, this guy is forever blacklisted. Because this was the race. This was the race where he was consistently in second place and early on had a chance to actually defeat Francesca Hong. So I don't know I don't know why. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why the establishment did not back him. And I also think that among Barnes voters, obviously the 27% of Barnes voters, their first pick or their second pick is Crowley, but 26% will go to Hong, which means that even if all of the Mandela Barnes voters consolidate their support behind Crowley and everybody else, like the rest of the field clears up, there is still a decent chunk of Mandela Barnes supporters that are probably going to vote for Francesca Hong, which means that if last week Francesca was likely to clear 50%, as of today, she might clear 60%. Which is incredible. Okay? Oh my God. Oh my God, look at this boomer. This boomer is watching. This boomer is watching with a delay. It was common to have entire books of maps under the driver's seat in your car. Yep, classic. Dog, we talked about that an hour and 8 minutes ago. That chatter rewinded and forgot that he rewinded, and that's why they're responding to me from an hour ago. They're going to be really upset in an hour when they find out that I'm calling them out. That's so cute. Okay, Betelgeuse, buddy, you got to break out the compass to navigate your way back to this conversation? That's crazy. Leave Unc alone. You're so mean today, Law. I'm just playing around. I'm in a playful mood. I'm not being mean. Anyway. Okay, guys, we'll do the fucking Chuck Schumer shit in a second. Okay, God, every time something happens to Chuck Schumer, everyone in here nuts, and they're like, you have to cover the Chuck Schumer thing. Calm down. So Abdul is going to break 60%. How do you feel about that? I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty confident about that. You said something, I think it was like a week ago, where I was far more worried about Abdul because of the Gretchen Whitmer endorsement. I think the establishment is lower than dirt at this point with the broad electorate, especially in the primaries, that like key pivotal endorsements don't even move races anymore, which is kind of wild. And I don't know if that's because Haley Stevens is just like a uniquely bad candidate, or if it's because she is just such like, or it's because, pivotal endorsements are no longer pivotal. It is actually shocking because I thought this would be a closer race, and I don't anymore, which leads me to believe that we probably should have focused more on Hartzell Gray and Cori Bush. I think Abdul is going to hit 55, though. Zoran, Bernie, and AOC have credibility, which reminds me we need them to endorse Fran. Yes. I'm working on it. Yeah. Francesca Hong's victory is going to be really nice, though, because there's a lot of like Adam Carlson, Zaid Jelani types who are just like on the edges who just constantly shit on Francesca Hong, and it really pissed me off. I did not like that. I didn't like that they were unnecessarily critical of Francesca Hong, kept saying over and over again, she's doing a rally with Ilhan, right? And me. As a matter of fact. But yeah. So, serious question. Where does one get a shirt like that? This shirt is, my dad got it made for me in Turkey. It's tailored. It literally has my initials on the arm. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see? but the little like tie clip holes. This one is made specifically for a tie pin, or not a tie pin, but like a collar pin. But the holes are too tiny for the pin that I have. Michigan voter here. My apolitical brother texted me, fuck Whitmer, when her endorsement came in. Michigan Democrats are very mad at her right now. Her endorsements came at the worst time. Yeah, I think this is going to be a devastating blow for Gretchen Whitmer's career as well. I think her career might actually be over. I think she's just going to go to corporate lobbying route, potentially. If she played her cards right, if she didn't have that like Donald Trump covering her face moment, she could have possibly been like a viable, establishment-friendly, relatively progressive white woman alternative. That could have been like if Gretchen Whitmer designed her career, she had the opportunity to move up the ranks. If she had aspirations for higher office, she could have actually done some real damage, right? She obviously would have been an anti-Medicare for all pick, which would have given her a lot more credibility within the establishment. And she could have been relatively progressive if she stayed out of this race, right? Or even endorsed Abdul El-Sayed in the primaries. Like that would have given her tremendous credibility for the progressive wing, right? She's just doing like all the worst things right now, which leads me to believe that she's not interested in running for president. Maybe I'm wrong, but the data centers thing was so devastating. She should have played her cards. She should have played her role a lot better. I think she had the opportunity to be like a somewhat, Elizabeth Warren style, maybe more, maybe even more establishment Elizabeth Warren style candidate that would have been anti-Medicare for all, but like still, a competent governor in a swing state, right? In a pivotal state. But I don't think she's running for president any longer. I don't think she even has any interest in running for president. I think she's just setting herself up for a cushy corporate lobbying gig. That's what I think. Whitmer is Brandonian in her politics, military Keynesianism. Yeah. So let's get back to Mandela Barnes, which is what we started off with today. It's the top news story of today. All of a sudden, this just came down the pike. Sorry. I just got too excited and swallowed my spit. Went down the wrong hole. Okay. Mandela Barnes considering dropping out of Wisconsin governor race. Former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes and his team are discussing dropping out of the crowded Democratic primary for Wisconsin governor. He already dropped out. This is an older story. He dropped out of the race. It's become very clear who our nominee is going to be, he said in a video posted to social media while not directly naming another contender. We have to do everything to beat Tom Tiffany, he added, referencing the likely GOP nominee. The announcement comes as Democratic officials in the state brace for damaging media reports about Barnes, which are expected to hit in the coming hours. Barnes and his team have been on calls Thursday discussing whether to drop out, Politico reported earlier. A spokesperson for Barnes' campaign said in a statement that there are no allegations of misconduct or wrongdoing against Mandela. The primary had become increasingly messy as more moderate-leaning Democrats have tried to stave off Hong's rise, worried that the Democratic Socialist victory could boost Tiffany. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers' endorsement of David Crowley, who re-entered the race in the final stretch after the current Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez's campaign imploded, further complicated the moderate coalition. Democrats, including some close to Barnes, are hoping the last-minute drop will allow voters to coalesce around Crowley, who is set to hit the campaign trail with Evers next week in the final stretch, according to 4 people with direct knowledge of the matter. Evers is also slated to appear at several fundraisers for Crowley in the coming days, including one in Madison on Thursday and a Friday event in Milwaukee. Hold on. Those Democrats believe Evers can help boost Crowley's support with older voters to challenge Hong's base of younger Wisconsinites who are not as reliable of voters. Crowley still faces a major uphill battle, but that's the only path to challenge Hong. So Yeah, the establishment in this race fucked it up. Even if they didn't fuck it up, Francesca Hong has been such a titan that it would have been difficult to defeat regardless. She would have been difficult to defeat regardless, right? Having said that, they really fucked it up. I mean, one, they cleared the field. David Crowley exited so that they could clear the field for Sarah Rodriguez. And when Sarah Rodriguez's campaign imploded, they brought David Crowley back. All of the established Democrats tried to coalesce behind Sarah Rodriguez. Literally, like 3 days after that move, Sarah Rodriguez's campaign imploded. Okay? The campaign manager was allegedly embezzling funds or like grossly mismanaging funds. It was crazy. Okay? And then right after that, the establishment was panicking. They were like, oh my God, we lost it. We got to bring back Crowley. They brought the former governor, the outbound governor, Tony Evers, to come out and endorse David Crowley instead of Mandela Barnes. And the entire time, this was a race between Francesca Hong and Mandela Barnes. The entire time. Do you understand? And they never pushed it. The decision by Barnes came amid reporting by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel about a 2025 state Democratic Party review into allegations that Barnes was taking advantage of his role in the party to have sexual encounters with young adult women. Okay? Here's the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Molly Beck. Wait, isn't Molly Beck the one who also wrote that hit piece on me? Or am I misremembering? The decision by Barnes came amid reporting by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel into allegations. Can you shut the fuck up and not give them advice? No, it's too late in the game. Plus, they don't listen to me. They literally listen to me and do the exact opposite